He called it the monster.
At least that's been my perception of it, and when you watch TV and stuff like that, it's
a darkness inside him that he battled his entire life.
Saved the game and maybe out the playoffs for Robin Lehner of Brock.
To the world, he was a star NHL goalie, a fiery competitor. But in private, the monster was winning.
Being diagnosed bipolar was tough. Serious illness, but it's very easily treated. It's just hard to recognize what you have. And when I got the diagnosis, a lot of things clicked. It was like a piece of the puzzle that came in. I could all of a sudden see the pattern. I could see how it has affected me, and everything I've done, I take full responsibility for it. I should have gotten help earlier. Things that I've been through and done myself. And the person I've been, it's nothing but me.
This is the raw story of Robert Lehner's fight against his own mind and his incredible journey back from the edge.
The Masterton Trophy goes to, let's see, Robin Lehner!
In 2019, Robin Lehner stood on a stage in Las Vegas and accepted the Bill Masterton Trophy, the NHL's award for perseverance. He was a finalist for the Vezina Trophy as the league's best goaltender, a celebrated hero whose comeback story had inspired the entire hockey world. Just 1 year earlier, he was standing on a street corner in Buffalo, drunk, alone, and screaming into his phone for help, his life and career completely falling apart. This is the story of that fall and the incredible climb that followed. The story begins in Gothenburg, Sweden, where Robin Lehner grew up immersed in the world of hockey. His father, Michael, was a coach, and from a young age, Robin showed immense talent in the net. He was big, athletic, and possessed a fiery, competitive nature that scouts loved. But even as a child, he was fighting a battle that no one could see. He has since described feeling different, battling what he would later call a darkness or the monster inside him. He would have fits of rage and extreme mood swings, signs of an undiagnosed mental illness that would follow him his entire life. On the ice, this internal turmoil was often mistaken for simple competitiveness. He was a top prospect, and in 2009, the Ottawa Senators drafted him in the second round. He came to North America and immediately dominated. In his first full professional season as a 19-year-old in the AHL, he led the Binghamton Senators to a Calder Cup championship, being named the playoff MVP. He was seen as the future of the Ottawa franchise, a can't-miss prospect. After a few years of showing flashes of brilliance in Ottawa, he was traded to the Buffalo Sabres in 2015. This was his big chance, his first opportunity to be a true number one starting goaltender in the NHL. The pressure was immense, and it was in Buffalo that the monster he had been fighting his entire life finally began to take over. His time in Buffalo from 2015 to 2018 was the darkest period of his life. The pressure of being a starting goalie, combined with his untreated mental illness, led him to self-medicate heavily. He fell into a vicious cycle of drinking a case of beer a day and taking a dangerous amount of sleeping pills just to quiet the noise in his head. He was living a secret life, consumed by manic highs and deep, dark depressions. His thoughts turned dark, and he began to seriously contemplate ending his own life. He was a man in a deep, private crisis. But that crisis was about to become terrifyingly public. The date was March 29, 2018. The Sabres were playing a home game against the Detroit Red Wings. During the second period, with the puck at the other end of the ice, Robin Lehner was suddenly overwhelmed by a severe panic attack. In his own words, he felt an intense pressure on his chest. He thought he was having a heart attack. He couldn't breathe. The world was closing in on him. During a TV timeout, he frantically skated to the bench, told the trainers he was done, and abruptly left the game and the arena. This was his public rock bottom, the moment the mask he had been wearing for years finally shattered for the world to see. He had nowhere left to hide. The monster was out. The world had now seen the breakdown on the ice. But what they didn't see was the terrifying aftermath, a desperate, alcohol-fueled cry for help that would either end his life or save it. The hours after Robin Lehner left that game in Buffalo were a blur of alcohol and desperation. He had reached the end of his rope. The secret battle he had been fighting in the dark his entire life had finally exploded into the light, and he felt he had nowhere left to turn. The dark thoughts he had been battling for years came rushing back, louder and more powerful than ever before. In his own words, he was sitting at home, drunk, contemplating the end. The monster was about to win. But in that moment of absolute darkness, standing on a street corner, drunk and terrified, he made the single most important decision of his life. He picked up his phone. He called his goalie coach, Mike Bales, and for the first time, he was completely honest. He screamed, he cried, and he admitted that he was not okay, that he was in crisis, and that he desperately needed help. That one phone call saved his life. The call set a chain of events in motion. The NHL and NHL Players Association Joint Player Assistance Program was immediately contacted. Lehner was flown to a rehab and detox facility in Arizona, the Meadows. The process was brutal. He spent weeks detoxing from a dangerous combination of alcohol and sleeping pills, a period he has described as pure hell. But for the first time, he was surrounded by doctors and therapists who could finally give him the answers he had been searching for his entire life. During his 5 weeks in treatment, he underwent a series of intensive psychiatric evaluations. And for the first time, the monster that had haunted him since childhood was given a name. He was officially diagnosed with bipolar I disorder with manic phases, post-traumatic stress disorder, PTSD, and ADHD. The diagnosis was a life-altering revelation. It wasn't an excuse for his behavior, it was an explanation. The fits of rage, the deep depressions, the manic energy that made him feel on top of the world one day and in a dark hole the next, it all finally made sense. Bipolar I specifically is characterized by these severe manic episodes, which were the source of so much of his erratic behavior.
Richard Panik who came in there. Lehner loses his headgear, he throws the blocker down. Koharski restraining him, and here comes Rico Helenius.
Here comes Helenius. We're going to have a goalie fight. A good old goalie fight. Here we go, Grady. Here they're squaring off at the blue line. Lehner and Helenius are throwing bombs here. Oh, look at this.
What an uppercut.
Lehner with a tremendous right hands, and down goes Helenius. Cowabunga. The fans are on their feet here.
Some old-time hockey, and what were you and I talking about this morning, Shrive? Some of those old arenas where Slapshot was filmed. It feels like Saturday night.
For the first time, he had a roadmap, a way to understand and manage his condition with medication and therapy, not just self-medicate it with alcohol. He wasn't a bad person. He was a person with an illness. And now, he could finally begin to heal. But his professional future was a complete unknown. That summer of 2018, he was a free agent. He was now a 27-year-old goalie with a public history of addiction and a serious mental health diagnosis. In the conservative old-school world of the NHL, most teams thought he was too risky. The phone wasn't ringing. His career was hanging by a thread. But one team, the New York Islanders, who had just lost their own superstar captain and were in a state of disarray, was willing to take a chance. They offered him a 1-year, $1.5 million prove-it deal. This was the last chance to save his career. Before the season even began, Lehner made another courageous decision. He decided he was done hiding. On September 13th, 2018, he published a raw, unflinching, and deeply personal essay in The Athletic titled, "I'm Not Ashamed." In it, he told the world everything. His diagnosis, his battle with addiction, his dark thoughts, the panic attack on the ice. He took control of his own narrative, laying his soul bare for the world to see. He wrote, "The monster is not gone, but I know it's there now. The monster has a name. Bipolar." He went on to say, "I am what I am, a guy who is trying every day to be a better person, a guy that is trying to get up and be a good dad. That is all that matters." The article was a landmark moment of honesty and vulnerability from an active professional athlete. It went viral, and the reaction from the hockey world and the public was overwhelmingly positive and supportive. He had taken his greatest weakness and turned it into his greatest strength. He was sober, he had a diagnosis, he had a new team, and he had bravely shared his truth with the world. The long, difficult climb back to the top was just the beginning. He had bravely shared his story, but the hockey world was still watching with skepticism. Now, the man who had conquered his demons off the ice had to prove he could still conquer the game on it. When Robin Lehner signed with the New York Islanders in the summer of 2018, he was joining a team that was in complete disarray. Their superstar captain, John Tavares, had just abandoned them in free agency to sign with the rival Toronto Maple Leafs. The franchise was a laughingstock, a team universally predicted by every expert to be one of the worst, if not the worst, in the entire National Hockey League. They were seen as a collection of underdogs and cast-offs, and their new reclamation project goaltender with the history of addiction and mental illness was the poster child for their low expectations. But something incredible happened on that island. The team, led by their brilliant new coach Barry Trotz and backstopped by their new goaltending tandem of Lehner and Thomas Greiss, came together to create one of the most surprising and inspiring seasons in recent memory. And at the heart of it all was Robin Lehner. From the very beginning of the season, he was a different player. The chaotic, fiery goalie was gone. In his place was a calm, focused, and technically brilliant netminder. Sober, and with his mental health finally being properly managed, he was able to fully unlock the world-class talent he had always possessed. He played with a joy and a passion that was infectious. The Islanders fan base, a famously passionate and loyal group, immediately embraced him. They knew his story. They had read his article. They saw a man who was fighting for his life and his career, and they wrapped their arms around him. The chants of "Robin, Robin" that would rain down from the stands of the old Nassau Coliseum became the soundtrack of his redemption. He fed off their energy, and they fed off his incredible performance. And his performance was truly incredible. He had the best season of his career, posting a spectacular .930 save percentage and a 2.13 goals against average. These were not just good numbers. They were elite Vezina caliber numbers that placed him among the very best goalies in the world. He was the backbone of a defensive system that shocked the league. By the end of the season, the team that was supposed to be a joke had shattered all expectations. Lehner and his partner Thomas Greiss combined to allow the fewest goals in the entire league, winning the William M. Jennings Trophy. More importantly, he led the Islanders on an improbable run to the Stanley Cup playoffs. In the first round, they were matched up against the Pittsburgh Penguins, a team led by the legendary Sidney Crosby. The Islanders weren't just underdogs, they were given no chance. But with Lehner playing some of the best hockey of his life, they didn't just win. They dominated, sweeping the Penguins in 4 straight games. The on-ice comeback was complete. Quick timeout, this channel is for the fans who want the real story. If that's you, become an official member of the Skates and Scars crew. That join button below is the best way to support everything we do here. The playoff victory was the ultimate on-ice validation for his incredible comeback. But his most powerful moment was still to come, not in a hockey rink, but on a stage in Las Vegas. The 2019 NHL Awards in Las Vegas were supposed to be a celebration of the league's biggest stars. But that night, the biggest star was the man who wasn't supposed to be there at all. Robin Lehner's incredible season with the New York Islanders had earned him 2 major award nominations, a feat that was unthinkable just 1 year earlier. His first nomination was for the Vezina Trophy as the league's best goaltender. He was a finalist alongside Andrei Vasilevsky and Ben Bishop, the undisputed best goalies in the world. For Lehner, a player who was an unsigned free agent just months before, simply being named a finalist was a monumental victory. It was a sign that he was once again considered one of the elite players at his position. But it was the second award that truly mattered. He was the frontrunner for the Bill Masterson Memorial Trophy, the award given annually to the player who best exemplifies the qualities of perseverance, sportsmanship, and dedication to hockey. It's the league's highest honor for character, an award for the player who has overcome the most.
Robin Lehner!
When his name was called as the winner, it was the official and emotional culmination of his impossible journey back from the brink. He walked onto the stage to a massive standing ovation. And in a sport known for its cliches and quiet humility, he delivered one of the most powerful, raw, and honest acceptance speeches in the history of sports. He didn't just thank his coaches and teammates. He spoke directly to the people who were still fighting the same battle he was. He said,
I'm not ashamed to say I'm mentally ill, but that doesn't mean mentally weak.
That single sentence sent a shockwave through the hockey world. The honesty was stunning. He went on to thank the doctors who had saved him, the Islanders organization that had given him a chance, and his family. In the most emotional moment of the speech, he looked directly at his wife Donna and said,
My fantastic wife, who got to stick this out with me, you're amazing. Yeah.
He ended his speech with a powerful message of hope, encouraging anyone who was struggling to reach out and talk, to not be ashamed, famously declaring, "It's okay to not be okay." The speech was a landmark moment for mental health in professional sports, a courageous act of vulnerability that has inspired countless people. He had reached the peak of his redemption. But, as he would later show the world, the journey of recovery is not a straight line. The hero's journey is not a fairy tale. It's a series of battles, and sometimes you stumble. After leaving the Islanders, he continued his successful career, eventually signing a massive 5-year contract with the Vegas Golden Knights. But the monster he had named was still there. After being diagnosed with bipolar disorder and battling addiction, Lehner took a courageous step few athletes ever do. He entered treatment, got sober, and spoke publicly about his struggles. When he returned to the NHL, he didn't just play. He dominated, posting career-best numbers and earning a Vezina Trophy finalist nod. But what made Lehner's comeback truly powerful wasn't only his performance, it was his transparency. He spoke openly about depression, anxiety, and substance abuse, shattering the silence that surrounds mental health in professional sports. His emotional Masterson Trophy acceptance speech, where he declared, "I'm not ashamed to say I'm mentally ill, but that doesn't mean I'm mentally weak," became a defining moment for the entire league. This is the foundation of Robin Lehner's new legacy. He has become one of the most important and outspoken advocates for mental health in the sports world. He is a prominent ambassador for the #SameHere global mental health movement, which aims to normalize the conversation around mental illness. He has used his social media platform to have frank and sometimes confrontational conversations about the pressures athletes face, and has been a sharp critic of the league's medical practices, particularly regarding the distribution of prescription pills to players. His legacy has been completely transformed. He's no longer just a fiery, talented goalie. He's a leader, a trailblazer who has used his own immense pain to light a path for others. His story is a powerful testament to the idea that true strength isn't about never falling down. It's about having the courage to get back up over and over again. He gave a name to his monster and showed the world that true strength isn't about being unbreakable. It's about having the courage to admit you're broken and to ask for help. Who's another athlete with an incredible story of resilience? Let us know in the comments. Our next investigation is already underway. To catch our next deep dive, make sure you're subscribed. And if you want to help us keep these stories coming, hit that join button and become part of the Skates and Scars crew.